Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of the Suzette Speaks Show. I am Suzette Speaks. I am going to be talking to a wonderful YouTuber today. Her name is Miss Linda Ballard. She has a brand new YouTube show going on, and she picked this topic. And I was really excited because she talks a lot about health and wellness. And when we think about health and wellness, oftentimes, we think about mental health now, physical health, of course, but there are so many parts of wellness that kind of get ignored when we choose to take certain jobs or pursue certain careers. Oftentimes, when we look at money and we look at making money, sometimes we neglect to think about the cost it will have pertaining to our mental and physical health. Have you ever taken a job that had you compromise your mental or your physical health or well being? Are you a person that looks at it as you got to sacrifice your body, you got to sacrifice your mind to get ahead? Are you looking at it as, well, we got to get this bread. So no matter what, I'm going to push myself to the limits. And if I get sick or if something happens to me, I got money to help me uh, mitigate or cure whatever health challenges befall me, whether that is disease, whether that is, tiredness and fatigue. There are definitely many different types of work that we're going to talk about today, whether it's law enforcement. Shout out to everybody who serves and protects for real, for real. Shout out to everyone who has ever served, for example, in the military. Shout out to people who have overnight jobs. Shout out to people who are working in the medical profession. We have so many, a broad scope of jobs, and shout out to frontline workers who during the pandemic learned how much it really does impact your mental health and your physical health when you're taking on positions and choosing, if you have the choice, your line of work. So, what does it cost to make money? Should it cost you these, some would say, irreplaceable um, benefits of hopefully not losing sleep, hopefully not straining your muscles, straining your back? Of course, I'm thinking construction, I'm thinking all kinds of physical labor. It's a part of the job market, right? But what is the cost you're willing to pay when it comes to compromising your health for work? That's the question tonight. And we're going to bring on Miss Linda in just a moment. Let me say hello to my people. Joe, I've been gone for a little bit. Hope you missed me. I went to a funeral, so I was kind of out of pocket for a while, just a week or so. And I'm really excited to be back. I will be live tomorrow as well. So you guys can check out the show tomorrow. I'm going to do with a lady who I saw on Good Morning America. She's from here in Miami, and she started a nonprofit after being diagnosed with breast cancer. She's a survivor, and I am so proud that she now has a nonprofit helping women who are going through the breast cancer struggle and the various challenges that go with that type of diagnoses. She's definitely paying it forward, and she's working now through a nonprofit that helps women right here in Miami-Dade and Broward County. So I'm really excited to have her on. Miss Angela Taylor of Artful Angels will be with me tomorrow. And then we're going to talk Black Panther. Are you feeling Wakanda? Are you feeling it? Did you guys go out this weekend and go watch Black Panther? I did. Shout out to Rose, who invited me to come through and check out the movie. I have kind of a mixed review. I liked it. I thought there were some challenges with it. I'm not, trust me, a comic book person that, wants them to follow everything by the T. But there were some parts of it that I was like, I don't know how that comes to, comes in to play. But yeah, it was good. So we're going to talk a little Black Panther. We're also going to go live on Patreon. If you guys are here for the first time, hit the like button. Why don't you? I have a special group of subscribers who are members only and getting members only content. And we're going to go live this week with my special guest, Brown Gal Peace Lounge. She's going to talk about her wellness journey. I'll put it like that. I'll leave it for that private group to kind of get into, her journey, her personal story. So we're talking about health versus wealth in terms of work. Would you compromise your health for work? And it's a real question. I think a lot of people have spent a lot more time thinking about after the pandemic, and where we are thinking about quality of life. There's a lot of questions now being posed where it was normal. Now we're trying to say, y'all got to pay me more for that, or you got to at least let me get weekends off, work from home, see my kids more, all the wonderful things that we think of as typical that really weren't typical just a couple years ago. But I want to bring Miss Linda on just shortly and have her talk about her journey and introduce herself. But before I do, let me just say hi real quick. I missed y'all. Hope y'all are good. Shout out to RM, one of my fantastic moderators in the building. Good to have you, sis. Good to be back. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Hit the like button if you're watching team replay. What's up? Just give me, a like. Show some love. Let other people be able to see the stream. Lando, what's going on, my brother? I'm so happy to see you. He says, nope. We ain't doing that. Other people, it shocked me on my poll on my YouTube channel. If you guys are watching on Facebook, shout out to you. Welcome. And you can visit me over here on YouTube. But when I placed a poll this morning on the channel in the community tab, I was kind of shocked that the majority of people so far, and it was only like 20 votes or so, had said they are okay with compromising their health for work. And it kind of shocked me. I was like, really? I don't have a breakdown as to men versus women. I don't have a breakdown as to what kind of work they do. Because I was like, I wonder what kind of what focus they have. But yeah, about 20 votes, 37%. Okay, now it's flipped. I put, yes, sometimes you have to sacrifice your mind, body to get ahead. 37% out of 20 people said that is their philosophy and they're willing to go that extra mile. I was like, wow. But now what I thought would be the winner, which is no, only wealth we truly have is our health. So jobs come and go. Don't even put me in that category. That is now leading 47%. And then 16%, again, non-scientific, just subscribers who went over my community tab over on YouTube. 16% said, yes, I get money by all means. I can treat sickness if it happens. I thought that was really interesting, right? Because we have a very kind of broad base of people who watch this show. Shout out to everyone watching internationally. Put in the chat where you're watching from, by the way. Let me know who's watching. But I am grateful that all of you are here so that we can bring intelligent and hopefully uplifting, inspiring, right? Discourse to the YouTube space. That's what we're here to do. So shout out to everybody watching team replay. I love y'all. Glad you are catching me either on your lunch break, while you're on your drive time, wherever you are watching. Yeah, thank you for your support. It's been a beautiful week off. So here we are this week. Make sure you go and all the streams are up. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss them. Right, tomorrow will be 7, but I think I'm gonna go a little earlier on Thursday, like 5:30 or 6, so I can get my streaming about the Black Panther movie and then go straight to my Patreon, probably 7 on Thursday to talk with exclusively Brown Gal Peace Lounge, the content creator behind that channel. Go check her out. She has an amazing channel with meditation being the focus, right? And wellness will be our conversation and how she has weathered her wellness journey, right? What she did in terms of her own self-care and things that she had to go through. So I can't wait. And I'm grateful that she'll be vulnerable with us on Patreon to get my stories, to get our stories, her story and mine as well. Share some of what I've been through. But yeah, it's a safe space, guys. I'm trying to hopefully enlighten y'all, edutain y'all while we have some real discourse here, as I said. So hit the like button, please. Topic for tonight: health versus wealth. Would you compromise health for work? Let me know, and I'll drop the link a little bit later. If you want to come up, if you're law enforcement or any type of work that you do, let me know how you feel about this topic. I thought it was really interesting. And it was Miss Linda, who I'm bringing up just momentarily, who suggested it. So I was like, okay, Miss Linda is perfect because her channel is about health and wellness, a 360 degree, right? Mind, body, soul. And she is shared many times on this channel. I'm so glad she's here, a big supporter of this channel. And I'm grateful as a more mature woman, she is joining YouTube, y'all, in order to bring her wisdom to this space. Sometimes we are forgetful that our elders have, a little bit more experience than we do, right? Couple 30, 20, 30, 40 more years in the game. It used to be that we had time, we're so busy now, to sit at their feet, sit at their knees and listen. But I'm grateful that she's taking the time to be with us tonight to share some of her wisdom about this topic. So would you hit the like button, y'all, so I can bring her on? This is Suzette Speaks again, back in action this week. Live shows today, tomorrow, Thursday. I have to go to another funeral on Saturday, y'all, so I won't be live Saturday, but we will be in full effect next week, of course. And just grateful again for a little bit of a break so that we can refresh, recharge again. I was with family attending a funeral, but I'm so excited about a couple things I'm working on. Woo-hoo. So, I can't wait. I can't even tell y'all. I'm so excited. I'm looking to be a guest. I'll put it on like on a bigger platform. I can't wait. I'm so excited about that, which is back to kind of my roots when it comes to social commentary and kind of like a little bit more newsy. So I can't wait for that. So I'm hopefully going to be on there by next month. I'll let y'all know. And then I have, again, some new content creators like Miss Linda, who I'll be kind of bringing on and just having good conversations with. I just like stirring the pot. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we gain something by listening to others and their experiences. So without further ado, shout out, y'all, come on, get active in the chat. I see a few more of you. Shout out to everybody watching. Hit the like button, will you? I see Doug. What up, Doug? Peace and love to you, my brother, one of my newest moderators. Thank you so much for the greeting. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here, showing support. RM, I'm busy on the Patreon. Y'all can go to patreon.com/Suzette Speaks. Doug says, show some love, $ Suzette Speaks on the cash out. That's all right, too. We appreciate, though, the subscription. If you want to hit the subscribe, it is all love. Thank you guys for rocking with me on this journey. So we're going to, I don't know how to do a poll. I was going to try to do a poll during the live, but would you compromise your health for work is the question. So before we go any further, let me go ahead and bring up my guest, Miss Linda Ballard. Again, fantastic supporter of this channel. Thank you, Miss Linda, for making time to be here tonight. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, Suzanne, and I'm really glad to be here in this present moment in time and hope to make it future.
Yes,
All
okay.
right.
This might be the first, but won't be the last. I'm so happy you're here, Miss Linda. I know you are a fantastic, what should I say, expert, life expert, just because you have such a variety of life experiences, y'all. Miss Linda just has an interesting story in general. So for people who may not know you, again, she has a YouTube channel. You're going to find it in the description. But she goes by Linda Ballard at 911 Health here on YouTube. So introduce yourself, please, Miss Linda. Tell the folks what you do here on YouTube.
Well, I put it as a life-preneur because I value my health overall. And I know that I even wrote a letter to you guys today. So I have something that might sway your survey,
All right,
But
go ahead, Miss Linda.
But first of all, there are consequences to everything that we do. And with money, there's a big consequence. Also, I am a breast cancer survivor.
Wow. Did not know
Absolutely.
that. Wow.
Absolutely. From going from being told 6 months to 22 years later, having 8 doctors on the case and 6 of them dead, and nobody wants to take my case now.
Miss Linda outlived all of her doctors, y'all. So
I'm
wow.
killing
So
them all.
this is huge. Given 6 months to live and 22 years of life thereafter, several of your doctors have passed, but you still here, Miss Linda. I cannot listen. I'm so grateful that alone, and I hope you're around tomorrow when I speak to Angela Taylor about her diagnosis, younger woman. And again, when anyone gets that type of diagnosis, it's a huge deal. Whether it's you, the person, you, an extension of your family, the family goes through it with you. If you're lucky enough to have, extended family, etc. But that's a journey for tomorrow. But okay, so you have that as also a part of your life story. Tell us a little bit more about your life experience.
I'm also a military. I'm a military wife, and I probably scared your people away. And
No, yes, you told us when I did the Secrets of a Military Wife show. You shared a little bit about really what it was like for you.
Yeah, and what I want people to know is throughout your life, you have to learn. You cannot survive other people, and you have to learn to fix yourself. You have to survive your adversities. You cannot survive anyone else's adversities. You
Absolutely.
can't.
So yeah, so you had a wonderful, difficult, I should say, testimony. Wonderful in terms of overcoming it and getting out of it. But your husband came back from the military really, really, should I say, damaged in a lot of ways. So you
Absolutely.
had to deal with abuse. You had to deal with all kinds of mental health challenges that he
Mhm.
faced. So that was again something that really struck me when we did that show about the secrets of a military wife, and you share very candidly on that part of your journey. And so so I know your channel, thank you, Doug, is 911 Health. Talk to me about what it is that you hope to do with the channel and what kind of shows folks can find there.
Um, Basically, I was kind of going over my life experiences, and those life experiences are like a projection or to kind of say that, I'm not a person that can reflect on the past, only the past for informational use. I'm a person in this moment in time and for future purposes out. And it's to help all the millennials to Gen Z, and to say that, okay, I made my mistakes and I'm stepping forward on those mistakes. And I'm hoping that you all don't make the same mistakes that I made. Why should it cost you when I've already paid that price? And some people can't look and learn. And for those that can't look and learn, we will build a concrete foundation to say that, hey, Miss Linda has experienced that. I do understand the route of breast cancer. I
Mm,
do understand who will show up when you think that that's your friend and you're looking for that person to come down the hall. They don't show up, they don't call. Then you realize you're on your own. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
There's a
Yeah.
lot of people that if they were to get sick, I'm sorry, Miss Linda, didn't mean to cut you off, but a lot of people, if they were to get sick, it is an eye opener in terms of who really loves you as in terms of
Absolutely.
the action of love, as opposed to, oh girl, what you doing? Let's go to brunch. Oh girl, what you doing? Let's go hang out. It's a lot of friends that are, I would call it fair weather. There are social buddies. They're not really truly friends. So when we look at expounding on tonight's topic, we're talking about whether you want to compromise to get the bread, to get to the bag, to get your coins up. And there are so many different areas we can go into, Miss Linda, but I'll start by asking you, um, do you think a lot of people put their lives for? Oh, you wanted to read your letter first. Let me have you read
Yes.
your letter first. I'm sorry. I want to get deep into this topic, but go ahead. She said she wrote a letter, y'all, for tonight.
It's a letter for the present and a letter for the future. I said, Dear Wealth, I worked 40 plus years on various jobs and I neglected my health for wealth. I ended up on all types of prescription drugs and had several surgeries throughout my years. And what did I end up with? A bandage on my life. Look at all the disease that I have accumulated, all for wealth. And in the end, I learned that wealth can't take it away. Um, I wished I had paid closer attention to my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, and my social health. Wealth did not make me happy. Well, and this is just me making this up, this part, to change people's mind. My kids got kidnapped. TMZ was on my butt. The paparazzi was in my face. That's not part of my life, but that's part of the wealthy's life. Okay? This is what they endure. I couldn't go to the store just to get a can of Spam because
Mm,
everybody was trying to make a buck off of me. I was not content with the money I had. No, I was over there measuring Warren Buffett's money, Jeff Bezos' money, Elon Musk's money, just always wanted to be at the top. And when I got to the bank, I realized something. I made it to the top. I got a lot of money, but I had compromised my dignity and integrity for all that money. And after chasing the bag, here I am on my deathbed. And do you actually think I'm requesting for more hours to make more money? You've lost your mind.
Mm.
No, that's not what I'm requesting. I'm requesting for absolute time, but time's up and the clock is ticking and it's over. And it's sad that I had to get to this point in my life, to this tragedy, to realize that health is way more important than wealth. But that's not all. To my future self, I chose this time my health holistically, and we'll go back in to my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, my social health. This time, when I choose wealth, there's a couple of things that I need to do if my health stay up on a certain level. I need to set goals for myself, and I need to exercise. I need to read, and I need to eat healthy. I need to keep a positive attitude, and I need to make sleep as a priority because sleep tear up your health. And I need to give back to my community. I need to try to get up a little bit earlier. And this time, with my wealth, I'll make really good investment with legitimate people
Mm.
so that I can respect myself and my wealth. And that's my letter.
Miss Linda, that was a poem, a letter, everything mixed together. It touched me. Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. Because I think there's so many people, again, we get wrapped up that we have forever and we don't. Again, this is a season for me personally and my family that I'm like going to two funerals 2 weeks apart and people that weren't ready to go, right? And in my heart, I just, again, I always use those moments to pause and really think, what are you doing? Where do you want to be? Is this the type of life that you really want? And help us all, oh God, to recognize that we have a number of days, whether they're, some people get 20 years, some people get 30 years, some people get, we're lucky enough, Miss Linda, to have more than that under our belts. And I think it's something that we all have to sit and contemplate every now and then so that we don't get caught up with, I'm going to do anything additional to the stress that we already have in the United States to contribute to accelerating that day, accelerating that moment. And we don't think of it like that. Oftentimes, again, these human bodies, we take them for granted and we say to ourselves, we're going to have them forever, Lord. Thank you for this, the strength of them to be abused as much as we abuse it. And I'll say that in quotes as in what we're talking about. Lack of sleep, help me, oh God, because I'll be in bed looking at my phone and I'm like, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock. I couldn't even work out early this morning. I had to go after work because I was so tired. I was like, well, that makes sense. If you actually didn't probably sleep until 1, daylight saving always throw you off too. But I'm
Mhm.
like, this is not good for me to be so tired in the morning, then try to push my body. It all kind of relates back to what are you doing to maintain, not only maintain, but just improve if you have to, your state of being. Let me read a couple of these comments before we get into tonight's discussion with Miss Linda Ballard at 911 Health is her channel, y'all. Doug shares, thank you, Doug, saying being traumatized as a child, seeing my grandmother with diabetes, whoa, heart attacks, whoa, and breast cancer. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. And helping ill family members has motivated me to be health conscious as an adult. Thank you for sharing that, Doug. This is a very for some
Absolutely.
of us, we've had a lot of, and I say that about my family a lot. I say, y'all, we going through a season, but we've been very blessed. Like when you don't have a lot of real major issues in your family or real health issues with people, sometimes you think to yourself, oh no, it always must be this way, but it doesn't.
Mm.
Right. And I think what you share here, Doug, thank you, is a very big case study in a lot of families. A lot of families are
Mhm.
Black, a lot of families of color, if we want to extend it that way, can relate when we say there are relatives of ours, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, whoever, sometimes that have not demonstrated the best health practices. And we're not going to blame them, we're not going to belittle them, but sometimes you don't know better, so you don't do better. But especially among some of our kinfolk, there's a lot of pressure within certain economic brackets that don't allow people to be as healthy as they can. And shout out to Chantel Simone. I saw her headline. I didn't get to go over. She might be live right now saying that, Black women too poor to work out. I don't even want to pick up that topic because that's, I think, might be a little bit hyperbolic. But in my mind, there are people who don't know what they should do. And so if you've always had your salt and vinegar potato chips with your hot sausage, like I saw my friend post that today, and I'm like, she know good and well. She's like, for old time's sake. And I'm like, old time's sake, y'all still eat hot sausage? And things like that nature. Hot, if you guys don't know what hot sausage is, it's just it's a pickled in a red liquid, high nitrate having, I don't know what parts of the meat are in the sausage, but it is a classic that I mean, even growing up here in Miami, it is a very classic child snack. Like looking at it, I'm like, we ate hot sausages in elementary school as if it were a snack, right? So thinking about, again, when you know better, you do better. But shout out to you, Doug, for sharing this. A lot of people as again, depending on their age group, depending on the economics level, and again, sometimes you got the bread and you still not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I find sometimes when you get more money, you eat worse because now you can afford to. So yeah, again, thank you for sharing that. You have sometimes these examples, unfortunately, where it's like, oh, I don't want to be laying on my back asking for people to help me. And again, some things can be genetic, but other things are very much preventable. Do you want to make a comment on what Doug has shared, Miss Linda?
Um, I don't think that a lot of us realize that, well, as we say, generational health, a lot of times, even when somebody walks in the room and they don't know you, you have to decide at that point um, what else that you want to do for your life, you know, if you want to stay here. Because
Mm.
I thought it was very insulting for somebody to walk in the room, not know me, look at his watch, say he had a golf game, bad social skill, and tell me I got 6 months. Really? That's
Wow.
what you think of my life?
Wow.
You gotta go to a golf game? I gotta pack all this information, think about how I'm gonna carry this information home to my kids. How can I fight this battle? And I think just his demeanor, I think might have helped shoot my, my determination to say, you know what, just for that, I'm going to live.
Right.
If you don't care, I care,
You bring
just,
up a very strong point, Miss Linda, and shout out to everybody watching. Again, RM keeping track. Miss Linda just got a new sub. Yes, we going over and supporting Miss Linda as well. Yes, I agree with this, Doug. I've struggled with this. And I'll get to your comment in just a second. But what you just said, Miss Linda, in terms of the medical industrial complex, the health industrial complex, our health system in the United States, first of all, it is not the best, what should I say, organized,
it is not.
much less sometimes it can be very impersonal, as you've described. I have a cousin who is dealing with something very serious, like blood clots. And just to get answers from her doctor is like pulling teeth. And I was like, you better not call them and make them people mad because you need the doctor on your side to live. It is so scary that you want to be like, hey, you're not communicating with me. You're not telling me what I need to know. And for her, I have to, tell her, be patient. This is the American system where one hand doesn't necessarily know what the other hand is doing. Even this would happen to my grandma too, going to the emergency room versus going to your regular doctor. So sometimes we feel as, many older folks, we've been to the doctor, we went to the emergency room. No, no, no. You got to go back to your primary care doctor every step of the way, because even though you got seen or maybe stabilized at emergency room, it is not long-term care that is really necessary for you to stay and remain healthy, or right, or regain your health. So sometimes I remember my grandma had gone to, before she passed here, several doctors in the emergency room, but she never did her actual general practitioner follow-ups. So she missed a couple things, you know what I'm saying? But she was like, but baby, I went to the doctor. And unfortunately for her, it didn't have a good outcome. So I see what you're saying, Miss Linda, in terms of the medical, what should I say? Again, the system is
Uh-huh.
sometimes not user friendly, especially
It's
for
not.
Black folks when it comes to sometimes individuals within the system writing you off or giving you like, I have a case right now. Oh God, that can't talk about particulars. We're in the investigative stage, but the person had sickle cell. And I already know the people sometimes in the medical establishment don't know how to treat sickle cell. They don't know how to treat crises. And oftentimes they get labeled big time as being drug abusers and drug users, that the people are coming into crises and they're in pain and they only want drugs. So we're investigating a case right now that, again, it hurt me. I was like, God, this hurt me so bad. I want to do this. I got to figure out if the facts align. But what you're saying is real. We have to be our own advocates. We have to get second opinions. We have to be brave enough to speak up when we are hearing something that doesn't match up or doesn't feel right, or we're like, nah, you're not just going to tell me I'm going to die like that. And again, your mind, what Miss Linda has just demonstrated, your belief is so powerful when it comes to these type of things. But thank you for bringing that up, that it's not always us. Sometimes when we are dealing with medical professionals that are insensitive in a sense, or maybe not culturally competent, they will just say any old thing to you. And I have friends with fibroids. I have friends with all kinds of stuff. And they have done, I've one homegirl, thank God, she's on her second baby, but it took her forever to get pregnant because they kept testing her for endometriosis. And I'm like, ma'am, every time they go through your belly button, they're creating more scar tissue in your uterus. So every time they look and I felt like she was a guinea pig, truthfully. But oh, they're gonna test me for this. I say, stop letting those people get in your stomach, ma'am, and creating scar tissue. And she struggled with getting pregnant, and she's young, in her early 30s, and then she just got pregnant. So things can happen, guys, with bad advice from the established medical professionals. But you have to, as Doug has said here, do your own research in a way. You can trust medical professionals that are very, what should I say, expert as well as culturally competent. But you got to find a doctor that listens to you. You got to find a nurse that knows, okay, I'm a person. I'm not just a statistic, right? Another body laying on this bed here. But Doug says, from my observation, most people are not informed about nutrition and fitness. And Doug, I might be one of those people. Doug, don't tell all my business. I'm just getting on the right track with my coach. I got a new coach. I switched coaches just for the short term because this coach offers more nutritional help. And I'm like, clearly I like the workout. Clearly it's not the workout problem. Clearly it's the, wait a minute, what we eating and when we're eating it. Not that I even eat a lot of food. And a lot of times to lose weight, you got to eat more food. Sometimes we're undernourished and our body is holding on, thinking we are starving. And so he's taught me a lot already. But from Doug's comment here, what are your thoughts on it, Miss Linda?
Well, another thing about the medical profession, since I've been through several traumas, because everything is, people just think, well, this is, whenever somebody do invasive surgery, anything it's traumatizing to the body.
Yes, it is.
One of the things, and I know you've seen this in court happening,
Mm-hmm.
And people say, I had an expert. But the expert is not the expert. You're the expert because you're the one that have to live that. Now, what I advise anybody to do is please skill up, learn everything you can. Because I know that even with certain surgeries, I even put my own blood. I don't know whose blood that is. I'm putting my own blood in an ice box. Get ready. Okay.
He's like, don't give me no transfusion. I'll do my own.
I get my, and I know 2 weeks prior to surgery to stop eating the onion because they're blood thinners and garlic, and because you have to
other things,
look at the
ginger.
Ginger. All of these are, they help the heart, they help certain areas, but then
they can slow you down.
Yeah, but prior to surgery, you got to stop eating certain foods because that could be life threatening. But also, you're gonna have to, because they got those CYA letters that cover your butt,
Yes.
And what they do, and you'll hear it, the expert. When you heard the word complications, somebody screwed up. Listen for the word complications, because you don't want to have to pay for somebody else's mistakes. But he was the expert. Oh, well, where did the expert go? Now, I'm going to be honest. Out of all the surgeries that I have had, I've not revisited any of those doctors again. But how did they divide the system up? HMO, PPO, you're never going to see that same doctor again because that
Man.
doctor is shipped out now. And if it was complications, you're going to have to really go to get you a good lawyer to track him down.
Yes, this is a very important point because I've noticed that even like I said, I have had and I'm feeling a lot better. I feel a sense of low energy, and I got just blood work just to check my iron levels and whatnot. And I think it was Candid Ann. Shout out to Candid Ann. Was like, Sue, just take the iron pill. I was like, no, they need to pinpoint and tell me what's going on with my body. I don't want a general like, okay, just take a iron pill without knowing. So I requested blood work, and just to check on my body. Your body sends you signals, y'all. If you feel tired, if you feel restless, if you feel weak during the days or at the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I want to take a nap or something like this. Again, you could have seasonal stuff. You could, again, what's going on in your life. Are you studying for exams? Are you just doing too much or that kind of thing? But then you also can have real telltale signs of your body screaming, saying,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. Shout out to, there are a couple people, I mean, like I said, I'm having a season of people passing, not even just my family, but like friends of friends, people I went to college with, other people that I'm like, what is going on? And these people are not aged, they're not elderly, if you will. So I kept thinking to myself, hey, Miss Globe Girl, good to see you here. She said, we sub too, 112 on Miss Linda. Yes. Good evening, Christian Family Values. Shout out to everybody showing love in the chat. Again, greetings, TTOO. It's okay. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the chat. Go over to Miss Linda's channel, y'all. Brand new, only a month in. And but has been around these YouTube streets, has been on this panel many times, support this channel like crazy. Thank you, Miss Linda. And then has decided to share her knowledge when it comes to health and wellness. Anybody who was told, like she was, you got 6 months, and then lives 22 years later, has a little something to say about health and wellness. Miss Linda, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into our topic for tonight. You mentioned in your letter, I don't know if it was for you personally or if you were kind of just speaking in general, when you presented this topic, and like I said, there's so many times when I look back at my life and I'm like, I spent a lot of time with people who I did not like at work or doing something I really was, not that into, or stressed me when I could have had a different approach to the type of work I'm doing when I was talking about legal work. But let's start with kind of like, were you in your life ever putting work before your health?
Um, I don't. Sometimes certain things are kind of mandatory. I've worked in different fields, but I always worked overnight, and that's a high consequence because
Oh,
anybody that works overnight, look out, you're going to have diabetes, heart disease, cancer. It's going to come. That's going to be that's the consequences of working overnight because the body has shifted itself. The clock is terribly off, and even though I'm retired now, the body still is working on that 10 to 7 hour.
yes.
I'm still in that 10 to 7 hour. That's the time that I worked overnight, or 11 to 7, or you know uh anytime you work, you don't automatically just go back. But what happens is, you can take a nap, or you can relax, just breathe, or just meditate. And there's another word that, and we look at it kind of backwards, and it was a survival technique for me, because
Mm.
I know on one of the videos, and I don't know if you ever looked at it, I kind of talked about, as a child, some of the trauma that I suffered, and I was put into a closet for about 8 years. But listen,
Miss Linda,
that's
hold
not
on now. You just can't just say that and then pass over that. Like that's a serious state of affairs. Explain that a little bit more if you don't mind. You don't have to
okay.
go into the whole story, but what happened?
Well, no, the on the video I talk about a word that I had lived, and I didn't know at the time that, I didn't associate the projects with, it being something demeaning or something to take you down. But I noticed every time I mentioned the word project, I thought in my mind it was an activity, something that you do. You know,
Oh,
sometimes you live a lot of words, you don't know at the time that you're living it. you know, and you don't have, I mean, it's kind of like, AIDS. It was HTLV3, but now it has a new name. It's AIDS.
yeah.
Okay. And even when you're learning something new, everything that you're learning new, that's neuroplasticity. You're adding on something new to the brain. But those are the things that I have lived, but I have the actual word for it now. So I've lived
Right.
out a lot of words. But what happened was I told this person that I trusted that um, you know, I love being out in the light. It was great. And they were upset because they were in the projects. But at the time, and I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. It was my mom. You
Hmm.
trust your mom, you know.
Right.
And so I trusted her because I thought, she see me out here playing and I'm excited. I love this light. It feels so good on my face.
Right.
And see, at the time, back then, my father was military also, because sometimes we had that pattern of marrying me and like your daddy, and you think,
Yes,
why I do
exactly.
that? That was messed up.
But we can't help it. It's natural to desire somebody either the same or opposite.
Yeah, I
So
guess I just was attracted to military suits. I don't know. Um,
yes.
so what ended up happening is that after I told them that I like being outside, and she was angry. She said about the projects. Uh, and because at the time, a lot of the military men were kind of like, the projects was kind of like a place that was built for, soldiers, and then they were supposed to advance to buy a home. But a lot of these men, they didn't get their military
GI
benefit.
Bill.
They
Yes,
didn't get that.
understood.
They couldn't
Yeah.
get it.
A lot of black GIs were
Black,
denied the
exactly.
benefits that were offered by the government, so they weren't able to qualify for loans or were kept out of the housing market. Understood. So fast forward, you told your mom this. Your mom, hi mom, I
Absolutely.
love being outside. I love playing. I love doing this. And then what happens?
Well, she became angry, and sometimes when people find out what you like, they use it against you.
Wow.
So
And you were
she,
how old?
at that time, I was about eight.
And
Eight.
then what happened?
Then I had to, like, I would show up for school, but whatever I did, I had to return back. That was my place, the closet. Okay.
So your mom, when you came home from school, put you in a closet
And that went on for years, but
every day?
every day.
For how long?
I'll say for about six, 7 years. That went on. That went on. It could have been longer, but I wasn't in prison. And you got to think, just recently, they had a little boy that was put in a suitcase by his mother. This just recently happened. And he lost his life. He suffocated to death. Now, you think, from looking at that incident from that young man to me, I survived mine, but he didn't survive his.
My
Okay.
Lord.
And
I'm just thinking, Miss Lynn, I'm so sorry. That is super traumatic.
well,
I
the,
listen,
um,
so many people go through such horrific home lives that I always say you see people and you don't know what they've been through. And I cannot just let that kind of wash over. I have to pause
that's
and
okay.
really empathize with you as the child within you. Because that stuff doesn't go away. That leaves residue, emotional, spiritual residue. How did you work through that? Do you think that contributed to illness?
Um, Her illness or my illness?
Either.
Um, okay. Now, working through it, I learned the technique to go to the library, to make sure that on my lunches I would grab as much information as I can, so that when I would go back into the closet, I would have all these images of trees and birds and pictures. I would grab everything I could, learn everything I could, and then I would never be in the dark. Some people don't have that imagination. They don't, because if you got a person that don't have imagination, they have to have explicit, concrete information that has to be pointed out. You understand?
Yeah.
But since my brain had the ability to absorb the information, when you go back, the time when she come to the closet and say she was letting me out, then there was this smile on my face because I had already escaped.
My Jesus, Miss Linda, this is deep. So, do you like go to the points where do you think it affected your health, and do you think it affected her health?
Now I know her health was, because my father left. Because sometimes you learn that after a person don't get what they want, because my father didn't get his military benefits, then you realize that that baby is a check. You a check. You a check, or you
Mm,
understand what I'm saying? Back then they had aid
mm,
for dependent children. They had, they had all these things, but you realize that somewhere on that little green card, your name was on there, and you weren't the most important thing in their life.
wow, that's
But it's
painful. That's so painful. So, you
um
think your health, your own health, suffered as a result of this?
um the trauma. uh yes, you do have PTSD, but the best thing, those things that were critical in my life, uh, help help me to build resilience, help me to get stronger, help me to say I'm not going nowhere, because I'm sitting here talking to Suzanne, speaking the rest of the crowd, and a YouTube channel. So sometimes it is okay to be angry. It is
Yeah.
okay to hurt. It is okay to have pain, because when that comes around again, you can identify it. You'll
Yes.
know right away what color it comes in, you know. So for me, I have some incredible decorating skills. That only, it went in a different direction. I ended up doing jobs, and people say, "Oh, you're a great decorator," and I'm like, "No, not really." But that was
Yeah,
they
as a result of
always
those. Whoa, Miss Linda,
and
thank you for that part of your life. You say you did a video on your YouTube channel about it.
yes.
I want people, y'all, go over and watch. Yeah, let's get her some watch hours. And also, again, that is super deep in terms of how she handled and survived what is definitely, wow, abusive. That Doug is empathizing, saying he
Oh,
feels that sad. But looking at Miss Linda, how beautiful she is in spite of it. Yes, Miss Globe Girl, I'm sitting up here like everybody has different levels of resilience. This is very important to understand. What you survive, it could have took another person out, honestly.
well,
So go ahead. Hmm.
so the thing about it, doing the cancer thing right quickly, when I did meet several women on that walk, uh, one of the ladies told me when I came into the room, she said, "You'll be here to tell my story." And I said, "Why?" She says, "You're like a little bulldog." And I said, "A bulldog?" She says, "Absolutely." She says, "Because you have something I don't have." And I
Mm,
said, "Well, what's that?" And she says, "You have balls, tenacity, and guts, and
mm,
you'll be here to tell my story." And I said, "But they told you that you had over 15 plus, you could live." She said, "But I don't want to, because before I I came here and I had put the implants in for my husband. I did all kind of things for all kind of people, trying to satisfy them. They came back. They had to come back and remove the breast. Now he has more leverage when I go home. You know, I'm not gonna hear that. I'm not
mm.
gonna stay." She said, "So you will learn, little one, that anything that eateth you is a cancer. You're not gonna die from what they told you. Who dies from what they tell you you're gonna die from? Are you crazy?" She said, "You
Listen,
won't make that. You won't make it."
this is, and again, we're veering into. I think it's actually kind of a dovetail conversation. It matches up how relationships impact your health,
Yes.
because even though we're talking about work here, and welcome everybody, I see a bunch of people join. Hit the like button as you come in, please. Talking to Miss Linda, brand new on YouTube, brand new channel on YouTube, been on YouTube herself, kind of in the chat, and then visiting on people's panels. But tonight she's telling us her story, talking about the subject matter of whether we sometimes compromise our health for work. And we've kind of gotten into a whole nother lane, which is fine. I'm gonna drop the link, and you guys can join the conversation if you're willing to talk about this work side of things, or what she's just brought up. She just talked about how family relationships, damaged
Yes.
family relationships, traumatic family relationships can impact health. And we were talking about health holistically, not just physical well-being, but mental health. And Ms. Linda, you need to give a class about mental health, because as resilient as you are, I would not, gone through, and I was like, God, how much can one person handle? To go from a mom who's looking at you as you've described just now as a possible check,
Hmm.
and taking away the innocence of a child who shares, this is my joy, mommy. I love going outside. And oh no, every night you'll be locked in the closet now. Like I cannot even imagine the mental health of God, children are resilient. What that tells a child about themselves, even into adulthood. Thinking about that, and later on, you having to deal with a husband who was in the military coming back, PTSD, very abusive, all this. How you had a breast cancer diagnosis, y'all, and doctors whimsically, by matter of factly, coming in your room. You're gonna live for 6 months.
Oh well.
Working overnight. How long did you work overnight, Miss Linda?
I had to always work overnight, 30 plus, because I had the kids and we didn't have all
So
the
you
facility.
kept your kids during the day and then worked
Absolutely.
overnight. That's great.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that you are here, ma'am, is like I think about all the sacrifices that people make, sometimes unknowingly. Dangerous work, overnight, as we are talking about here, work.
Mm.
Um, and how people wake up every day, put on a police uniform, for example, fire uniform, for example, knowing they might not come home.
Right.
Everybody's like, oh, that overtime's good though. That is, but you don't live with them. You don't know what the mental health costs are,
Mm-hmm.
and your men come back different, as you pointed out. Oftentimes, life of
Mm-hmm.
the military man, et cetera, et cetera. There are costs to these things, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And even now, seeing some of the cases that are coming forward, that's how I think about it with the compensation about, people who were in burn pits. Those are when, we were in the Gulf War and people were like
Mm-hmm.
literally serving every day while they were burning garbage, releasing toxic chemicals like around the corner from them. And now they're passing away. And people have lost their husbands and wives and, loved ones in these excruciatingly preventable ways. But I
Uh-huh.
guess if you're in the middle of the desert, you didn't have no alternative. We're just gonna burn the garbage out in the open and let people inhale all this. I think about coal miners. Um, I think about people that lift a lot, physical construction and those type of work,
Mm-hmm.
that traditionally people see as like, oh, that's a manly type of. Yeah, I even thought about it at the airport when I went on my flight and my bag weighed like 40 pounds, and my mom was telling me back in the day, they let people take 70 pounds on an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, 70 people was lifting 70 pounds in a repetitive action every day,
Mm-hmm.
from the weight, the scale over to the conveyor. Like these people's bodies. I was like thinking about the lawsuits. I was just thinking to myself, like, I wonder if people are suing now that we know black lung, now that we know,
Yeah.
all these other type of very dangerous type of work. And again, is it about the money? We can go to those very major, blatant the examples, but there are people who are also really, 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 really stressed on their job, and it's not seen as dangerous, but they're stressed. And how much money is enough money to justify your health, your mental health, and your physical well-being? Is that something that you guys even think about? Drop your comments in the chat. DL, I see you in the back. Some of the questions I had here, and thank you, Miss Linda, for bringing up this topic. Did you want to make some comments of based on what I just said?
Well, you mentioned, I think you mentioned sickle cell, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say that in the medical profession, if you have sickle cell, if you have fibromyalgia, if you have any type of disease that's not a profitable disease, you will not be looked after.
Oh, ma'am,
Okay.
you speaking truth now. Hold on, now you speaking truth. There's so many people that
Okay.
unfortunately, and I know several people who have passed with sickle cell, who few of who I know directly, that based on what the parents told me that the doctors did, um, mind you, the hospital cremated one young man, 21 years old. I'm like, cremated your son that quickly? Like, what are you talking about? They cremated him.
Absolutely.
I was like, without paperwork, like, what is happening here?
Oh.
And I know there are so many cases like that where, unfortunately, again, my attorney's hat as a personal injury attorney, thinking about some of these things that some things are human beings making mistakes, and then some things are like very, very, to me, what we call, they have a personal liability. They're culpable. They're
Yes.
thinking of you. They're thinking of your disease in a way like almost like you should have this, or this should happen to you, or you can't be saved, or
Oh,
I
yeah.
won't treat you with the most expensive drug, or I won't. Even when we were looking at the vaccine and how many people got treated with, I forget the name of the drug that aligns with the COVID-19 vaccine, but oh my gosh, the name of the drug will come to me. But the numbers of people of color and Black folks in particular that have gotten that drug, it's almost none when it comes to secondary treatment. Now you've got your vaccine, but now you caught it and you can get this. I can't remember the name of the drug, but just proportionately, is it that Black folks don't want to take it? Is it Black folks are not even offered it? Is it like, makes you wonder. But yeah, we're talking a wide range of health
Uh-huh.
discussion. Go ahead, Miss Linda. And I'm gonna bring up DL. Let me read a couple more of
Uh-huh.
the comments in the chat. Y'all, appreciate y'all watching. I'm glad you're here. Miss Linda has a brand new channel. Go support it. Subscribe if you can. Appreciate all your comments. Thank you so much, Team Replay, for watching. And good evening to you, Mr. DL Sang. We are gonna go live. I think it's gonna be Thursday at 7 on my Patreon. Special guest, Brown Gal Peace Lounge. Tomorrow we're also back 7 p.m. on the Eastern time, with a woman who started a foundation where her story of, and I saw her in Good Morning America, y'all, and I DM'd her and she said yes, she'll come on, and I'm really grateful she'll be on, Miss Angela Taylor, tomorrow. And then Thursday we're going to talk Black Panther. We're going to talk about what y'all, hopefully y'all saw the movie, but what y'all think about the movie. And we'll be back. I have another family funeral to attend Saturday, so life is happening. But I think this is the type of discussion I want to have right now, because again, these times make me reflect, like, God, what am I doing? Am I taking care of myself? Am I making choices that are going to lead me to good health? Do I need to sacrifice sleep? Do I need to sacrifice other things? But we don't think about it sometimes. We just take the jobs. But I'm going to hear with my brother DL. Are you ready? How are you? Good to have you.
What's good? Thanks for having me on. How y'all feeling?
Oh, that handsome young man.
She making
Hey,
me blush. You know,
hey.
make me
And we got the
blush now.
blue memo tonight.
We
I
got that
like
same
it.
silver thing working.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad I
Matchy,
got there.
matchy.
I'm
How
so
you
glad
Absolutely.
I got there.
doing? How you
I'm all right.
doing? Good to
I
see
know
you,
the
brother. It's
feeling.
been a minute.
Yeah, definitely wanted to support. You know what I mean? We missed you, girl. You was gone taking care of business. You know what I mean? Taking care of family business. So you always miss me not around, Miss Suzette.
Oh,
You know
thank
what that is.
you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. I know we were speaking earlier today, DL, after your live, and just so much can happen in life sometimes that we don't take stock of. Friendships, relationships, all kinds of things, how they play out in real life. So we were just catching up earlier, but I told him what the topic was. And what did you think? I saw you, Vandell. Come back when you're ready, in the back. But yeah, we were talking earlier, and I was telling you what we're going to talk about today. And what came to mind when it comes to work versus health. Have you had that type of experience before,
Oh,
having to make
absolutely.
that choice?
Yeah, I mean, we all have. I mean, haven't we? And that's every community across the board. I mean, yeah, we are absolutely giving up health for money in today's
Mm.
world. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Like, I'm a former air traffic controller, and yeah, I mean, it's not just your physical health, but mental health. And like in our field, there's people that was definitely sacrificing that. They shouldn't be doing it, but they're forcing themselves to do it because the pay is so good. Right, and the things they deal. I mean, it's in the news now. There's a couple warbirds, like older World War II vintage airplanes, flew into each other in Dallas. You know what I mean? So,
Yes, I
right,
saw that. How horrific. I saw that. Yeah.
and it goes with the territory. Now that it's a lot that comes along with that, and it hits you mentally, and then that mental anguish manifests itself physically. I could tell you times where I was dealing with stuff at work, and it got to the point where I couldn't turn my neck because I was so stressed that they were about to stick a needle in my neck just to loosen my
When you was
muscles.
doing air traffic control?
Out air traffic control is the most stressful
Ooh.
thing I ever did in my life, and this is
Ah,
coming from a guy who was on the streets doing the street stuff. This is a guy who was in the military. Like I was in
I
Desert
can
Storm.
only imagine. I can only imagine. Miss Linda, I'm gonna give you a quick break. Go ahead, Miss Linda. You can take a moment, and I'll have DL up here. You can stretch if you need to.
Yes.
And Miss Linda,
So
check the private chat. I just sent you a private message there. But yeah, DL, thinking about that. Funny enough, I was looking at the air traffic controllers as we landed when I went to Jamaica, and I looked at the brothers who did not have in earplugs on the actual tarmac. Those gentlemen, And I kept thinking to myself, he don't know he's 19, 20, 25-ish, and his hearing is fine now. But if you're next to a jet engine for the next 5 even years, not even say 10, 20 years, but if you're next to a jet engine, the hearing loss that you're experiencing, you're not going to be able to identify. But
Yeah,
I'm
Suzette,
seeing,
it doesn't take that long. And those guys, they're like the ramp workers, like air traffic controllers. You'll never see them. They're in the towers.
oh
They're in the
yes, in
radar
the
rooms.
tower.
Yeah,
That's right.
you'll never see them. It's very rare you'll see them. But the people you do see, like those people working the ramp, you have people who are like pulling the airplanes around. You have other people who work for the airport, and it's their job to go around and make sure everything is okay. All
Or the
those
guys
folks
who hold the sticks, the ones that are guiding the airplane to the
Yeah,
gate.
they're the same guys that load, like you were saying, lifting those
Oh, is
big
it?
heavy.
Okay, is it?
Yes,
Okay,
and
I
that's
didn't
part
know.
of their thing. Like, and all they're really doing, what they're doing is guiding the pilot. The pilot can't see the ground, right? From where he or she is sitting, they can't see the ground, and they have to follow these lines. Once the lines go away, the guys with those cones, they're guiding the pilot. They're telling them which way to keep that nose wheel on the line. So that's what they're telling them, left or right on that nose wheel. But then they'll do that. They'll put the cones down. They'll go connect that little cart to another airplane. They'll pull the airplane out. So they're on a ramp constantly. And in the Army, I mean, you can lose your hearing. You can really disrupt your hearing because once you lose it, it doesn't get better.
Oh,
It only
no.
takes one incident. Like you could be on a range firing your gun, firing your weapon without hearing
And lose
protection
your hearing.
and lose your hearing. So
I think about even, and great examples there from your personal experience. I think about Will.I.Am from the Black Eyed Peas. He has, and I forget the name of the condition, where he has constant ringing in his ears. So again,
tinnitus.
Tinnitus, thank you. So imagine him having done so many concerts, being around all that deep subwoofer bass, the drummers. And again, you're young, you're free, you're running up and down on the stage. You do not think of, I need earplugs so that even me, sometimes I go to these reggae concerts and I'm like, I should have some earplugs on. This bass, I don't understand people who stand in front of the speak box. Like, I'm like, why would you want to do that? And he has been interviewed and shared how you would think he has the best life now. The money is there, the opportunities are there, the circles have changed, etc. But he is really suffering because of
Yep.
this tinnitus and other things. So I think about that. I'm like, he wouldn't have really thought that as a workplace hazard. You're just like on stage. But these things are, they catch up with you. Let me bring back Miss Linda. Go ahead and make any other points you want to make when it comes to, I have a few questions here, and I think we'll have a few more questions for Miss Linda as I bring her back up. Welcome everybody who's watching. Terrell, I see you busy in this chat. If you have a story to tell, come up on the show. He says, I'm having this experience right now. I am curious. Thanks for being here. What up to you too, brother? Yeah, the stress ain't no joke, he adds. Oh wow.
Yeah. With air traffic, the stress is no joke. But to the point of like with the money and we're sacrificing our health, people will sell out family for money in a heartbeat. So that goes into that emotional stuff.
Give me an example.
Well, like you guys, like you have like the situation you guys were talking about where you have a woman who has a child and it comes out that you only had that child for the paycheck, right? You're gonna carry that emotional scar with you as if you are that child or if you are that woman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because think of everything you have to do to keep that child away from their parents. Like, the way I'm always harping on this, right? With our family court system, right? The amount of stress and anguish involved in that, where you have individuals that are fighting and they need money to fight in court so they can get access to their kids. So they're in court, they're stressed out. Then what do? They go out and they're driving Uber or they're working some job.
Exactly. And riding behind you, road raging or whatever it is. I'm like, this is so related to just the society being on edge as a whole. People are again, mental health. We've started to talk about it a lot more in recent years, but people are still suffering. Miss Linda, welcome back. And I see Vondell in the back. Hey, Vondell, how are you? You can unmute, please.
I'm doing wonderful. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. You coming across a little low tonight, but tell me your thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hear you as well. That's okay.
I'm having trouble with my mic so far.
Yeah, it's okay. Press unmute. It says, let me unmute you. Or can I? No, you have to unmute yourself. Come back. What you could do, I'm going to take you out of the back and then you can come back in.
All right.
Okay, and then come back in. Maybe it'll come a little stronger. Miss Linda, thinking about people who are jeopardizing their health, their life, when it comes to what they do for money. Um, should we, right now, again, it depends on the age and stage of your life, how much precedent or how, well, okay, so someone's watching this show and saying, okay, but I gotta work, I gotta make money, I got a lady depending on me, I got a family, I got a man depending on me, I got a family, or whatever it is, or by myself, whichever. You are saying, does money not have a place of importance, or should it not have a place of importance over health? Tell me how you rank this, or if you're looking at opportunity, what would you say is the best way to evaluate it?
Well, I'm I'm one of the persons that have been very fortunate to have, and you may not think this is fortunate, to have the opportunity to hold several people's hands before they exit this life.
Mm,
Um, a lot of us don't go to nursing homes. We don't go to hospice. We're not taking the time out of our life to visit these people because our life, they think, is going on. But one day we'll be in that place.
mm,
Okay. And in order to get a full circle of how it actually looks, um, I think a few people need to hear the end results of how it went, how
mm,
their family did sell them out, how that they wish they had more time, and if they had invested more time in somebody else's life instead of their own. They gave up everything. It's just like, I'll you got your receipt right here.
yeah.
You have to decide, you know, for your life, um, because you got kids. I mean, you there's other things going to come along in your life. But once that chart flips over
Yeah.
and you get that jerk of a doctor that looks at his watch and doesn't value your life, or don't feel like because you're in your black skin that you're educated enough to come to his level and talk to him
Mm,
and advocate for your life, then it's a problem.
mm.
You better have enough left in your life to fight for your life because you're giving up a lot for a lot of people.
My goodness. That's a deep, deep, deep reflection, Miss Linda. When I think about that, I did that for a while. Church I was a member of, I was like, this ain't my ministry. I tried to do nursing home, where we went and did actual service, like a church service, praise and worship, pray with people, and then visit room to room. That was a very, I think I did it for a few months, eye-opening period of my life, looking at people when they are at their most vulnerable, when they again can't do anything about the shoulda, coulda, woulda, where it becomes, your body now is telling you what to do, not your mind. It is oof, it is eye opening. It doesn't really seem to justify what the experience is like. I couldn't do it after a while. I was like, this is actually making me depressed. This is making me sad. Sitting and listening and praying with people and listening to what they wish they had done or what had happened to them or things like this takes a special spirit to counsel people at the end of life. I was like, this, I don't think I could do the singing, I could do the praise and worship, but y'all can have me here talking to people about their deepest, saddest, regrets or reflections. And it was really eye opening to me. I think that was my first real, life ain't a game wake up call, listening to people and seeing people again who could not help themselves. You had to turn on the TV for them. You had to bring a tray, put a blanket over their leg. They couldn't get out of bed to put a blanket because it was cold. Things like this. Shout out to all the people in the medical fields who have hopeful compassion and empathy for these, the least of these people at the really most vulnerable stages, who need that type of what they call palliative type care and things like this. I was like, oh my God, I know all of us will see the end, Lord, one day. That's one thing that's for sure. But thinking about, I oftentimes, and I didn't talk to everybody in depth, thought about the decisions they must have made This is me being, totally making assumptions about what their life must have been like. How did they end up here? Do they have a family? Do they have a husband? Do they have a wife? So many questions. And again, we don't know what the end of our lives will bring. It's not to look down or marginalize anyone's choices, but it did make me think, whoa, you got to really think about, first of all, how you eat, drink, sleep, basics. And then a lot of people don't, what should I say, even when they're working, no one plans to get injured. No one plans to have a health crisis. No one plans that one day someone says you have breast cancer. Someone says you have, what's typical for men, prostate cancer or something like this. No one plans for any of this. So do we try to mitigate it before it happens? Or like, I don't know, would you say no straight up to a job that is like, well, we need you for, I had cousins that have worked in firms that needed 80 hours a week, and they told you that. You're working a double. You're sleeping at the office. You're bathing at the office in the morning to start again. Now the money is big, right? I had a cousin that got ulcers, stomach ulcers, all kinds of stuff, but she was making bank. I'm talking about killer, like good money. I couldn't do that. It's two of my friends that was built like that, and I'm like, I'm not built like this, guys. I know what you're saying is, ooh, I'm not built like that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I mean, I don't know. What would you do if you had that type of circumstance, deal, where you had to look at like, okay, this could be my return, but I know I'm literally gonna physically suffer for doing it.
It's like everything else, isn't it? It's balance, right? You need to have that bread. You gotta have it. But there's also a balance. You want to stay healthy, because if you're not healthy, you can't get the bread. So what do? And this is something I didn't do. I was like everybody else, like, man, I'm trying to get the bag. I wanted to get as much as I could. So when it got towards the end of my career, there are people in my field that just didn't want to quit. They being an air traffic controller wasn't just a job; it was who they were. It was who they identified as, right? So I was never that guy. When I got to the point when I was like, oh, I can leave at age 50. Y'all gonna pay me not to come to work? Deuces. You know what I mean? Because I'm out of here. Because it's that balance. Now I can move on at age 50 and do stuff that most people in my family couldn't do. And I can sit back and try, and now I can enjoy the fruits of my labor, right? So, and a lot of people, there's fear. Like, you have fears. People who, what do they say when don't retire? As soon as you retire, you're gonna die. A couple years, you're gonna die. Why? I'm gonna live my life. Like, why? If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, right? I don't want to die at work. I don't want to die. Going to sleep. My last thought on this world is, thinking, oh, who's gonna cover for me? And then I'm gone. Nah, I wanted to get out of there. So it's balance. But some people find themselves in situations where they don't have that. They don't have that option, right? They gotta go get the bread. There's so many dudes out there. Again, like, not to bring it back to family court, but if you're under some sort of child support order, right? You can't sit. You better come up with that bread, or you're gonna wind up going to jail. You know what I mean? That's just one of those kind of things, and that's gonna weigh on you. You know what I mean? You can't do other things. Men don't like to go get stuff checked out. I'll be all right. You know what I mean? Just a little cough. I'll be all right. And then that's the last thing you might hear them say. They weren't all right. So it comes with balance, and it comes with being brave enough to take that step, that leap of faith. But back to the topic though, it kind of feeds the topic. Yes, we are. There are more people that I know that are willing to work themselves to death than there are people who are willing to say, you know what, I have enough. Let me just enjoy, my life now. Let me enjoy my family. Another thing too about when you talk about family and friends, right? And those people who are unfortunate enough to be in those situations where they need care, right? Hospice or whatever, nursing homes and this and that. And their family is nowhere to be found. But as soon as they leave this world,
ooh,
right? As soon as everybody come to carve it up.
Oh God, I've seen the good, bad. Sandy B. Law, where are you? I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly when it comes to me and my cousin were just talking about this. A family member who, different branch, but has sold the family property. No one could believe it. It was just really nasty. I want to ask you, and I'm going to read this super chat. Hey, Gail at night. I see you have a birthday. Happy birthday coming and a show coming up. Shout out to one of my original moderators, now her own, content creator in her own right. Showing love tonight. Thank you for being over here, Gail. Celebrating Miss Linda says we have a celebrity in the house. Hey, Miss Linda, looking beautiful as always. Hey, Suzette and Dia. Appreciate you showing love, sis. Shout out to Gail at night. Check out her channel. Support. She supported us when we were just so many YouTubers. We were just babies. I still feel like baby in this space compared to my big bros. But Gail, happy birthday. And thanks for being over here. I know you're a busy lady as well, but showing love to Miss Linda and supporting the stream tonight. Thank you so much, Gail. But yeah, I wanted to go back to what you just said, Dio. Why is that? Is that an American mindset?
Absolutely.
Old puritanical, what they said, like the Puritans, guys who came over first, they were hardworking, wake up, you have to toil to get money. Obviously, what they said, the secret of life is the milk doesn't just come to you. You have to sit and milk the cow. You have to feed the cow. You have to get the cow ready. You have to do all the other things to prepare the cow to be milked and then milk it, right? You want milk, you got to go for it. So I get that. And much love again, Gail. But the sad part is that I don't know. Sometimes we don't know how to balance it. Again, and I take people I know in my own life who their job is their identity. You take away that job, it's almost like they wouldn't know who they are. They wouldn't be able to live without, I see attorneys working right to the end. I see men who should have sold practices and they didn't want to sell them to people like me, but who should have sold practices and go spend time with the grandchildren. But instead, the money is the money. I mean, yes, they're providing for the grandchildren. The grandchildren will be able to pay for law school, college law school, and any other graduate degree cash. They're not going to take no student loans. Yeah. And so there's that sacrifice. But I'm talking about people right to the end was going into the office, and many will tell you they gain satisfaction from it. I would argue that, again, they don't know who they are without that job title, whatever. And that is a form of what should I say, stress if it's taken away.
You short yourself.
You can't avoid it. But where does that come from in your opinion, DL? And again, thank you, Gail.
Yeah, you short yourself. I mean, my first attorney going through that process with family court, right? He died doing my case. Not right in the courtroom, but we met. Yeah, like we met. We came on. He was like, "Yeah, I'm about to get semi-retired." You become friends with folks like this because you spend so much time together. You get, working on these cases or whatever. And it went from us just doing our thing to one day he was like, "Oh man, I got to get this bump looked at." It went from that to, "Yeah, bro, I got to go start chemo." And then I saw him. We're still going to court, and I'm looking at him like, it seems to be going pretty good. And then I get a call from his wife, and he's gone. So all that happened within like 6 months. What? In the end, he worked, like you said, till the end. I mean, and it's like, wow, yeah, I get it. It was California. He wanted to buy this nice retirement home, which he was paying for on the coast. It's a lot of money. But how much time did he lose with his grandkids? How much time did he lose with his wife? How much time did he lose with his kids? You know what I mean? So he can go out here and get all this money.
Yeah,
and that, again,
it's a sad state of affairs because, again, the sacrifice was for them.
Yep.
The sacrifices was so that he could enjoy them, but he never lived long enough to actually experience it and to actually utilize or in any way enjoy all the sacrifice. That's my, like, I don't want to say my fear, but I see so many people who I'm like, even looking for a significant other, I need, I want a hustler. I want somebody. I get, the get money dues.
Yeah, but
you can appreciate them.
But you're the hustler. Wouldn't it be better to get someone who's going to remind you to slow down and smell the flowers? Like, hey, let's go take a walk.
We got to have a balance, just so in case something happened to me, he got my back. But
that's what insurance is for. I mean, but like you said, balance is the key word.
No,
there has to be some sort of balance.
He has to have a little bit of balance too, because again, the workaholic, quote unquote, lifestyle is real. People, it's not just a stereotype. There are people who dedicate, and because they love their family, dedicate each and every hour, each and every minute to work. We just had, I told y'all I've been taking a kind of branding class, and I had a gentleman, I won't say his name, who was a member of the class, who kept saying like he needs to stay busier. Like he's quit his job to become more of an entrepreneur, but he's missing that doing. He's doing enough for himself to kind of get started, but it's not enough yet. So we were like, I was like in the chat, I was like, therapy, period. Like another girl was like, I forget what she put, but like brokenness, period. Like it was a lot there where it can also try to replace what is deeply held inside of you, deeply held beliefs, deeply held hurt, trauma, whatever. Work can be a replacement for all of these. I know people who, again, they get their praise from work or their sense of worth from work. And again, I don't think that's necessarily bad, but I do think sometimes when it can be used as kind of like a bait and switch, a compensation for,
I would say it's bad.
Missing.
It's bad because you're not getting it at home. Like I work with so many dudes who were married and they wanted to come to work. Any overtime, they were the first ones to come get it. They wanted to stay longer. They did not want to go home. Right. And they kept working because it was like, I'm like, bro, I talked to a few of them like, hey, man, why don't you retire, bro? You got plenty of money. You've been doing this a long time. I know how much you got put away for retirement. I can do the math. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't want to go home to my wife.
Oh, my Jesus.
Why? Because they're not getting it. They're getting a honey-do list.
That's a whole nother story, but that is a very valid point, though, when it comes to why people overwork themselves and what work becomes a replacement for. And
or the stress reliever. Work becomes the oasis. Let me get out of this house that I done paid for. I done did all this stuff for. Let me go to work to get away from that so I can get some sanity. I don't have to deal with all this nonsense. Again, all stress. Wow. All stress. And then and you're getting the money. Like, it's money too. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it would be good to find that person. I know it's good to have that person. I've had a few women in my life to tell me to slow down. Let's go here.
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't want. Why do I want to go over here?
That's what I was getting to with this gentleman. After we put, therapy and coaching or whatever, we were like, you need a vacation. Like you people. And I think during that call, several people was like, I take a small vacation every month. Now, I don't take a small vacation every month, but it made me think like, think about that lifestyle where you're going to have a 3-day weekend every month where you drop, Miss Linda, come on now.
There it is.
Miss Linda, you the guest. You the guest. When you drop, let me put this up here. I can't even finish my thought. Where Miss Linda dropping the super chat, showing love on her own stream, y'all. Saying, so glad to be here in this moment in time. It is true. Miss Linda, thank you, sis. Just your presence. Thank you, dear. Just your presence. And y'all, we got about 10 more minutes. Just your presence alone. I think you just have so many compelling life experiences. I didn't even know you had that type of issues going on with your mom and not showing love. I want to get so much into that. Like, I really want to get more into your personal journey, but I know today we're going to say focus on your topic. So we definitely have to either bring you back here or bring you back on Patreon so that you can share some of that inner strength, how you worked on that part so that you are the woman that authentically sits in your power, even though you had so much different types of challenges and struggle. Like so many people would be broken down by that. I'm talking about physically. I have a relative right now. She still mourns her divorce. And I think about it, and Ms. Linda, again, thank you so much for your generosity. I think about it. She physically is constantly now in pain. She always in pain. She going to my brother. She going to the chiropractor. She going to this. She going that. But I know it's here. You know what I'm saying? Like the morning of the marriage, she hasn't put that to sleep yet. She hasn't come to terms with that yet. That you could have invested 20, 30, 40 years of your life. So many parts of that it can really, really punish people, if not take them out, right? If you don't have help processing this, I'm big on therapy, y'all. I have my therapist tomorrow coming back from death, going into death. I was like, no, I need to talk to somebody so that I stay grounded. What does this all mean? People you love die. It makes you kind of be like, whoa. I hope, shout out again to those who watched the story, the show about passing of Takeoff. When I listened to, the illegally recorded, they said no recording in the funeral, and you could still get pieces online about Offset and his homeboys and his bandmates. Those people gonna need therapy. The processing of that level of loss is just a lot, and it's good to talk it out. Get it. If you don't get it out, it lives within you, and I think that's honestly a lot of people who I know who have gotten sick long term are carrying trauma in their bodies, things that happened to them, wicked things that were never spoken of. Manifest, guys. Come out in the cancers, come out in the long-term diseases. I know people don't like to connect that, but that's a form of stress that is living within you that so many people ignore or think, if I just don't think about it, if I just work more, if I just whatever, put the drug of choice, the replacement of choice in the blank, it's not going to go away. It's not. And oftentimes it will make you sick. So we're talking on the physical level. We're talking on the mental health level tonight about work and finding balance with health and whether it's worth it. I think what you mentioned, DL, you got to work on that home life. If you going to work to avoid home, we got a bigger issue. Like, and I know that's easy coming from a woman, maybe from your perspective as dealing with men who have faced that.
It blew me away. It blew me away, but it's a thing. But I mean, and this is kind of tapered off from the subject, but the young guys, the single guys, the people who are coming up, they want to get into relationships. They want to get the baddie. They want to get whatever. You need money for that, right? So you got a lot of dudes who will go out there and they'll start working hard. They'll get the baddie. They get what they're looking for. Realize that's not really what they wanted. You got to run to work to get away from it because
good girls going to waste out here. Good girls going to waste out here. Y'all think this is going to be good for you. And then when you wake up, and then all women are terrible, then all women are horrible. Okay, no. I'm not going down here.
No, we're not. But I'm saying this, though. It's 10 dudes out there saying that to you. Good guy going to waste here, Suzette. Good guy going to waste here. You know what I mean? It goes both ways. It's check and checkmate. I mean, but again, it all takes balance, like we were saying.
Good girls going to waste right now. I'm gonna stand on that.
There's so many good guys going to waste. I'm gonna stand on that. I talk to them all the time.
Too. Both can be true, deal. It can definitely.
Yes, it is. You know what? It is. It's absolutely both are true at the same time. Yes. But the guys are running to money and making money. They get themselves into that mode where I gotta get it, and they're sacrificing their health to get it. You know what I mean? And that is definitely a thing. And again, it's like, well, what's the answer? Like, boy, I don't know. Find that balance. You know what I mean? Be willing to step away from it.
You gotta go the therapy. Thank you, RM. Hallelujah. Again, thank you, Miss Linda, our special guest, showing so much love on the super. Y'all go sub. Show some love. Let's get her channel going. And I know she'll be back over here. RM said it best. Therapy rocks. I think, again, so much, Ms. Linda, if you had not just shared that or had not shared your story on your channel prior to now, no one would look at you and notice, right? Some of us have some messed up upbringings. We don't talk about it, again, because there's so much judgment. People don't want to show you, the darkest moments of their life, even though you might actually be healed. People get very uncomfortable. And then sometimes they're uncomfortable because they have not been healed. And I've seen that in people I love, where I'm like, man, if you just went to therapy, this could help a lot with what you're going through. And they won't, that's just not when they grew up, the age bracket and, how old they are. That's not a thing. That's not how men handle things. No, they grab a bottle and they grab some herbs and they do their thing and they self-medicate. And that's not helping. But again, this is a cornerstone, I think, for a lot of us in the Black community. Start by cleansing yourself. Emptying it out, sharing it with someone who is licensed, who by law must keep the confidentiality, who must also offer tools, mindset tools, and sometimes physical tools, ways that you can process what you've been through that you may not know, ways to reframe what you've been through. But y'all, guess what, y'all? Let me just say this right here. Since it's already in my mode, I think I'm going to go back, DL. And I spoke to you about it a little earlier. And I have to do some women's work on this YouTube. It might not be on this channel. I think I'm going to have to start a new channel for it. Pray for me, y'all. Because there's so much healing, especially that I've done in real life outside of the online space. When it comes to women, I've been kind of running from it, trying to figure out this new, platform, how my audience has formed here now. But I think I'm going to offer a little bit more on the women's wellness journey on here, because it's so much of it in me, and I'm like, okay, I gotta just do it. let's put it out there. If y'all don't like it, if I don't get the responses or whatever, give it some time. I gotta do it, because all the lessons that Miss Linda has been sharing, all the lessons that I mean, who am I? But I definitely been through some things, and I've helped other people process and get free. So it is something that I'm like, I started out here with this. I've kind of been going back and forth. What's the rebranding gonna look like for the new year? And I think I gotta do it. Shout out to my sister who was on here, Roxy Beckles. I saw her do the same thing. Roxy is a fitness coach. We did a show on high value women, dating a high value woman, and I saw her start a secondary channel. Shout out to Roxy. I just subbed today, called that. I think it's called That Black Catholic Girl. And she was talking about how less than 5% of the people who are Christian and African Americans identify 83% as Christian still. And right now, 5% of those, I think it's like 43%, say they're Baptist, some form of Baptist, and only 5 are Catholic. And she wanted to talk about her experience and how it informs her life. Like, she's lived this very Catholic, she went to Catholic university, Jesuit university, from her catechism, or what some people would call confirmation or baptism in her church. It's a lot about it that I think will bring light to people who either want to know more about it, or who have the exact or similar upbringings, and talking about how it helps or has hurt or has, again, just help her to become who she is. So in that light, y'all, I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and do the secondary channel. Not sure what it'll be called. Any of that has not been worked out. But I gotta test the waters. I gotta see. Again, it might appeal to a different audience than what is here right now, and that's fine. But I want to put some more out there and do some more work of healing in our lives. Particularly, I'm used to helping women heal, but I'm not saying it can only help women. You understand? Men can get healed too. You understand?
But girl, we're trying to figure out how to work less. You talking about starting a whole nother channel?
No, I thought about it. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna have to pre-record that one, because that'll go all day, all night. Everybody gonna have to be giving me feedback, and it can be such a blessing, and it can get deep. And I want to offer that, but you're right, Dio. I want to offer it in 10 to 15 minute bite size, maybe 20-minute packages. But I'm thinking about how to do it, and I hear you. Yes, I'm not trying to overwork myself and I'm definitely taking my own advice, and some of the advice that was offered on our training, just about who are you seeing, who are you speaking to, where do you get your relaxation, your meditation. Some people are praying, some people are going on vacation, stepping away, going into nature is a big one. I have heard this theme a lot as well. And Miss Linda, I'm gonna give you the last word. I'm gonna ask Dio what other points he'd like to make before we wrap up. But when it comes to breathing, I don't know. When you kind of look at your life and you've seen a lot of hints over the last week, breath and breathing has been like doo-doo, in my face. I'm like, what is going on? Do I need to work on my breathing? And how most of the toxins that are excreted from the human body are excreted through the breath. So all of this is all of a sudden, like, I'm getting like little articles and hearing little podcasts and things like this about breath and deep breathing. So I was like, all right, might be for me to get a little word in for myself when it comes to rebalancing, releasing stress, finding out what is the cause of stress. If y'all want to do exercise on Patreon, we did a wonderful what hats are you wearing? Sometimes we don't even realize how many different hats we have on, and what we're doing as it pertains to so many different people, not just our job and our home life, but there are a lot in between of expectations from others that we carry. So even just doing that exercise this weekend, I was like, this will help my Patreon. This will help a lot of people. So being able to kind of figure that out and prioritize, and sometimes say no, sometimes say I can't. Sometimes, okay, if you don't show up, somebody gonna show up. If you're the person that's normally carrying the load, you're the most dependable one of the friend group, of the family group, of the whatever, you know how it goes. But you got to give yourself permission to rest and when you're, what they call it, your bandwidth, when you're overwhelmed, you got to be able to step back. And you might not be able to take, the days off every time, but you got to find breathing work, sitting at your desk thinking like, God, I got to clear my mind right now. And I'm going to do it through some deep breathing or whatever it is. I got to research a little bit more. Maybe I'll bring an expert on that onto the show. But yeah, I definitely want to explore some more topics, y'all. And I'm going to see if it works here. I don't think it'll, yeah, man, the big herbs. He's like, you know it. Rosalind said, preach, DL, hit that nail on the head. Yes. Hit the like button, y'all, as we wrap up. DL, oh, thank you, Rosalind, on the super sticker. Thank you for checking on me earlier. She was like, Sue, I thought you were going to be back last week. I was tired. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, I cannot do no show mentally. I was saying that for myself. I'm like, mentally, I'm going to put on makeup. I'm going to sit down. But I'm like, I got to think about everything that I just processed with family, extended and otherwise. I was not, again, you got to say it for yourself. I was not able to put anything else on me. I had to just play with my knees. That's what I needed to do, and just get back grounded, figure out the work I had left, catch up on that, get back into my exercise. Like, there were things that I needed to do. And sometimes when you're in these public, forums, content creation and all that, you'll say to yourself, but I got to be there. Oh, y'all gonna miss me, because I will have to be lovingly, as I say, take with myself, remove myself when I need a little breather, and start fresh. And I feel like this was a perfect example this week. I was like, Miss Linda, can we reschedule? She's like, yeah, babe, it's okay. And I'm grateful for your patience and flexibility, Miss Linda, because sometimes people are like, oh, she said this day. And I'm like, it ain't gonna be this day. It's not going to, because I have too much on my plate. So I hear you, DL. I got to figure out this, and I will. I think, again, if I have to do pre-recorded and then work it that way, that might be how I serve. But we'll see. Rosalind, shout out to you, sweetheart. Thank you again for asking me if I was good. And glad. Oh, and thank you for mentioning me on your channel. She does kind of what's going on YouTube, what's the latest going on YouTube. And you gave me a shout out. Check out, my show with the nutrition lawyer and whatnot. I watched it. Thank you, doll. I really appreciate you. I really, really, really do. But DL, we're about out of time. So final thoughts on this. Great perspectives already, my brother. But when I look at some of the icons that we've lost, chasing the bag, I look at personal stories of people who I love or went to school with dying in their 30s and 40s. And I'm like, Lord, wow, no man knows the day, meaning men or women, whoever, or the hour. Help me to utilize my time. Like, that's my biggest thing. Before the end of the year, just like, oh my gosh, we need to really do a 360 of where I'm spending my time, how I'm spending my time. And is it what I want to be spending my time doing? If not, how can I change it? I really want to do some introspection work. But yeah, where do we draw the line? When is it really worth it? What are some, I had some notes here. When it's dividing your relationships, I don't know. When do people, because everybody gonna say, yeah, Sue, it's easy for you to say. Like, we got to make bread out here. But where would you, or what final advice would you offer when it comes to making that decision?
It truly comes down to finding that balance at the end of the day. And that is an individual thing, that you have to do yourself, but you need to find that balance. People are out here chasing the bag, but when you sit down with them and ask them, like, okay, what are your real goals? They don't know. They're just working 110%. Literally, they're just pushing themselves. Okay, to what end? I can go hard. I can go hard for 6 months or a year, but I can't just go hard indefinitely. Something's going to break. No machine can go hard at 100% indefinitely. Something's going to break. You got to shut the machine down just to do upgrades and to do maintenance. So you have to determine what you really want. Do you really need to have a Porsche 911, right? Why isn't the Lexus good enough, right? Do you really have to have that second or third home on the lake, right? What's wrong with the townhome in the city that you're spending all your time in, right? So ask yourself these questions, like, do you really need to go to Paris for the summer? The answer might be, yeah, I really need to go to Paris to get my hair right. I really need to get away. Then fine, do that. Work hard to get that, right? But you don't need to go to Tokyo, and you don't need to go to Milan, right? You don't need all of them, do you? Well, I guess I don't need them all. This is what I mean by finding that balance, right? You might not need, I know people out there who, work themselves literally to where they couldn't move anymore. And it's like, you got all this money now, you can't enjoy any of it. You're right. All that money is going to keep you alive a few more days, right? Mm-hmm. Was it really worth it? And I think that's what y'all were speaking to. So find that balance. Find that balance, people.
100%. Great advice. Give yourself like an air horn or something, please, because I think that is something real. When we especially if you're younger, you just feel like you can, what should I say, go from burn the candle from both ends? From
both ends. Yeah. I'm gonna give myself a little something. You were, you're still like that, Suzette. Quit saying I was.
I'm not.
Yeah, whatever. You yell as all you want to, it's still there.
I'm getting much better, and I have a lot more, what should I say, outlets, like the consistency of exercise, consistency of therapy, consistency of other things, where I'm like, Lord, if I feel a little, I'm not even waiting. I'm like, let me clarify what is making me uncomfortable. Let me figure out the root of it, and let me try to address it. That's where I am. I'm like, anytime I sense, whether it's a breakup, y'all, because I was watching, I think it was The View was on while I was working earlier, and they were making fun of, like, I think it was like a breakup service, like a class, $250 for a class on how to break up with people, or I think people who have suffered a breakup, right? How to process it. And I'm like, ooh, dang, hustling and come on now with the finesse. However, I know people who have gone through really devastating breakups. And maybe for that person, depending on their level of resilience, they might need the coaching. They might need the 90-day course. They might need the support group. You don't know, and you shouldn't let anyone make you feel bad about what you need. Everyone is different.
That's the Christmas gift you should give your family member who can't get over the divorce. That's the ultimate breakup right there. Go ahead. That's what she get for Christmas right there. Here.
But let me tell you this here, because I saw this comment. Thank you. Who is it? The Common Sense Expert. Hey, the Great Bill Podcast. Good to see you, brother. We just about to wrap up. He says some people, like to be miserable. No matter how many times you tell the same story, it's still the same story in the past. The question is, what is the new story that you're telling yourself now? And sometimes I hear this. I don't think they have gone to therapy enough, let's say, maybe initially. But sometimes therapy and prayer will not work. He says you have to cut some people off completely. Now, I can't cut off my fam, right? But I can understand your sentiment, which is you have to decide, is this going to hold me hostage for the rest of my life? Am I going to view life through that type of, what should I say, broken or negative lens? And if I don't know how to get past it, am I going to get help? And I think sometimes there's not a yes to all three of those. There's I want the pity. I want my own, what should I say, self-deprecating, again, pity party that it makes me more satisfied than to think I could actually be free, even though I never wanted to be living in my mature age by myself, not married. There's so much there I could even unpack, but I don't want to get in people's business on here. But I hear your point, DL. People need, you don't know what I need and I don't know what you need. Let me put it like that.
So you got to find that balance. Not everyone can make other people laugh, but I can always make Suzette smile. I can make her smile. And all I got to do is hit this button.
Oh, hey, listen. I already know it's Thanksgiving weekend coming up. I'm buying my tickets now for a couple of things.
Oh.
Rosalind, great comment, says, my cousin suggested my cancer may have been stress related. Long story, but I'm cancer. Hey, hallelujah. But yeah, no, this is real. A lot of people don't look at certain illness as a stress related. And I tell you, I look at people, I'd be like, that's what killed you, or that's what got you in the state of being the way you are. Not to say it can't happen to anybody. Some people just, genetic code is weird, right? But there's oftentimes things that we can maybe mitigate, pinpoint, and say, that's a little too stressful. Life is stressful, guys. But where we can help it, As DL says, we have to find balance. DL, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all.
More wisdom tonight. Y'all check out DL Saint, his channel. I don't know about y'all want to watch that show today. How to get the girl you want? How to get the real girl? What's the name of the show you did today?
Yeah, how to get the girl you want. And the thumbnail title is "Women Want What Women Want." They want what they want, and it was real simple for fellas out there. You want to know the secret to getting your woman? Be confident and understand that she does the choosing. That's it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was gonna be too red pill for me, so I was like, I don't know.
It's red pill in the sense that I tell these brothers that I'm plugged. I'm like, listen, man, all this other stuff, yeah, game, frame, and money and all that, yeah, that's a thing. But the real secret is women choose. End of the day, and that's a red pill tenet. Women choose for that part of the relationship. Men choose for the marriage and all that. So like, quit being weird. I'm on the mission. I'm trying to tell these dudes to quit being weird.
With the quit being weird. Anyway, we'll catch up more, deal. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming through, showing him some love, pleasure. Y'all. Thank you again. Always a pleasure having you on. The comment says, Esper says, yes, I saw that episode. That's a straight hustle, right? The 250 for the breakup class. Again, part of me laughed and I was like, okay, that is, straight up American hustle. But then a part of me was like, you know what? They might actually be onto something because somebody somewhere is really devastated by somebody leaving them. So I don't know. It might not be for me or it might not be for you, but it might be for somebody. So I can see it both ways. The common sense expert. I was listening in and I was like, that is kind of strange. But final comments, y'all, in the chat. RM says, team replay. If you're watching the replay, make sure you stop by Gail's channel. Make sure you wish her a happy birthday and subscribe, of course, to DL's channel, of course, Miss Linda's channel. Ace, we about to wrap up. Hey, hon, how are you? Glad you're here. But go over to Miss Linda, y'all. She is brand new, about a month in, brand new to content creating, not new to YouTube. As Gail says, she gonna tell Lee she was over here looking beautiful. And she's a big supporter of Lead Attorney, of course, on this channel. She's a sponsor of her own show tonight, showing so much love. And I cannot thank you enough, Miss Linda, again, for what you're offering to the space. Be bold. Be bold. Again, there are people who are going to say, oh, no, why now? Every voice that we have here builds our community. And again, people find you. So don't be discouraged. It takes a little time, but I know you are going to be a fantastic content creator. So I'm going to ask you for your final thoughts. Brown Gal Peace Lounge says she's loving it. Brown Gal Peace Lounge will be on Patreon this Thursday. So can't wait to have our conversations, sis. I appreciate you being here. Y'all check out Brown Gal Peace Lounge's channel as well. We talked about meditation. We talked about breath. I didn't even get to get into it, but again, that's a thing that has been kind of signs and everywhere I'm looking, I'm seeing and hearing about the breath. And I'm like, oh, I really don't do a lot of deep breathing. Deep to get, that calmness and that centeredness and the balance, as DL talks about. We might not always get a vacation day, but there are things that we can apply in our daily practices that help us find that peace. But Miss Linda, your final thoughts on the topic. Would you compromise your health for work? What do you want to leave the folks with tonight?
Well, I've already done that. I've already lived that. And it doesn't work. It ends up in cancer. It ends up in a trauma. But the good thing about my trauma, we have phases in trauma. And it takes a very long time to get there. A lot of us suffer from PTSD. And now I'm in a place of PTSG, personal training, strength, and growth.
All right, now
we have to grow.
PTSG, yes.
PTSG, we got to grow. We got to grow. And two of the strategies before I go, because a lot of time patience kind of take us out the box. We want everything right now. And the key to patience is you're not in a hurry to die. Okay? You are not in a hurry to die. So that if you can remember that, and another strategy is think of your brain as a garden. And gardens have seeds. What kind of seeds do you want to plant in your brain? When you go to water your garden, Are you planting hatred, anger? What seeds is going to grow in your mind? So always when you go to a mirror, it's a garden. And whatever you plant for that day, that's what you wear for the rest of your life. So I want to plant laughter and smiles and being spontaneous, because that's what has kept me here to do this live stream. My garden is flourishing. If you water your garden and the seeds don't grow, then you die. And that's it.
Miss Linda, we could have a whole conversation on that. You might have to come back now. I'm appreciative. Y'all give it up for Miss Linda. Go support her channel, y'all. Always a deep and really relevant conversation when she comes on. She has so much life experience, you guys, and I can't wait to see how she blossoms here on YouTube as well as Vondell. I know you said you couldn't come back on. I'm sorry, my darling. Shout out to her son also has a channel. Vondell's talking about how he's overcome, learning challenges and living with disability or challenges in his life. And I think he's going to have a wonderful time exposing people who normally would not get to get the firsthand account of what it's like. And again, we need a variety of voices, especially Black voices here on YouTube, so that people are strengthened by our journeys. So I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, y'all go support, go sub. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, Miss Linda, for coming through, showing love, being a part of tonight's conversation. Always a pleasure to have you on my channel, my love. And again, keep up the great work. I know you're only 1 month in. Don't worry, the numbers will continue to grow because, again, you have such a wonderful breadth of experience to offer and to illuminate us on, especially those of us who may not have had the life experience or the guidance in various areas of our lives. I think you're going to offer a lot, sis. So keep it up. You're just beginning. I can't wait to see where you go. The sky's the limit. Again, for everyone watching, go over one more time to Miss Linda's channel and go sub. RM says, we love Miss Linda. Ace Butterfly say, yes. Miss Linda is on fire. True statement for sure. Ace says, hatred, anger. That's right. That's why, everybody should be careful. And listen, all of that energy, whether you carry it here on YouTube, whether you carry it in your personal life, it can't be good for you. It just can't. So I don't want to waste no time on it. I know Miss Linda not going to waste no time on it. We just bring hopefully some positivity to the world. But we're out of time. I appreciate y'all. Again, hit the like button before you go. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you, Miss Linda, again for sponsoring.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your candor and your sharing your story. Everybody hit the like button. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Don't forget, Miss Angela Taylor, a breast cancer survivor, will be sharing her incredible story. It's uplifting. It's inspiring. I saw her on GMA, Good Morning America, and I DM'd her and she said yes. So she's a local girl, Miami girl, hometown hero. I was like, I have to profile this lady. So can't wait to have her on Thursday. We're going to talk Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. If you guys saw the movie, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about it. I went and saw it last night. Got a lot to say about Wakanda Forever. If you have not seen it, okay, you can wait till after that show. But Thursday, I plan to go live. That should be a little earlier, 5:30. And then later, I'll have my Patreon with the one and only Brown Gal Peace Lounge. It's going to be my November feature on patreon.com. Y'all know, again, that's my exclusive group of supporters who I am grateful for. They get exclusive content that's not here on YouTube. So I appreciate her opening up again just to that exclusive group, talking about her walk in terms of understanding the principles of self-care based on her personal journey. So I can't wait to hear more about it. Anyway, y'all, we got to go. Have a good night. Thank you again, Miss Linda. Hold on real quick before we sign off, and appreciate everybody. Hit the like button, please. And I'll be seeing you more. It's the holidays. We'll be kind of ramping up. Dr. Trisha Bailey. Okay. Tell me who that is, Ebony. You can flow me an email. or DM me on Instagram. Tell me who that is. I have a couple people I need to reach out to before the billions. Listen, we're about to sign off, but that's my brother. How are you? Nice to see you, brother. Glad you could swing on by. It was all about Miss Linda tonight, y'all. So make sure y'all go to her channel, and then I will see you tomorrow. Team replay, you know what to do. All right, have a good night. No, for real. World class, I gotta go. We can't say. I can only say goodbye long enough, but appreciate you, brother. Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button, share if you can, and then definitely go back after the stream and leave a comment so more people will watch the stream. All right, love y'all. Peace and blessings. See you tomorrow. Take care, y'all. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.